Hello and welcome to the Premier Football Podcast. I'm Rafe Garland and I'm joined this week by the blue jumper wearing Joseph Doherty. We've got a jam-packed pod today. We're going to look at some of the interesting topics that have kind of popped up over the last week. We're going to preview some of the big games for next weekend, and yeah, time to get started. There's only one place to start, really, Joe. Top of the table clash, Liverpool, Manchester City.
Fair.
Are you looking forward to it as a neutral?
Yeah. It's usually a pretty decent game. It's at Anfield, right?
It is at Anfield.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I enjoyed both fixtures last year. City were very unlucky to draw in this fixture. Mahrez obviously missing that penalty in the last minute. Like, you can't be doing that.
City go into the game as favourites in Anfield.
The bookies got them down as favourites.
Bookies have them down as favourites.
That's a bit brave. I'd probably have a draw down as favourites.
Bear in mind, Liverpool haven't lost in the Premier League at home for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
They're unbeaten at home for nearly. Oh no, sorry. Yeah. They're
unbeaten.
They're unbeaten at home in all competitions for over a year and a half, and they're unbeaten in the Premier League since January last year when they played Man City.
Yeah.
In the Etihad, and obviously lost under narrow circumstances.
Yeah, very narrow.
Are City that good? Are they favourites?
Like I said, I don't think City should go into this game as favourites. I think that over the past year, Liverpool have shown themselves to be an extremely accomplished side. You could think about the fixtures in the Premier League, like this season, Liverpool being far more consistent. City have lost, 3 games already?
Mm-hmm.
At least 2. And in addition to that, what happened in Europe at the back end of last season, like City missing out on a place in the Champions League final, but Liverpool going on to win the whole competition. So I think overall Liverpool have been more consistent despite the fact that they didn't win the league last year. Like, it was just that little. Don't get me wrong, City have been fantastic.
I mean,
over the past 2 years,
Liverpool took 1 point from their 2 games against City last year.
Yeah, they did, and that
is that where they lost it?
That is where they not just there, but there was that.
Well, I mean, they lost it by 1 point last year.
I'm as well as the two games against City. There was that little blip kind of just after New Year
where they drew 2 games against Everton and Leicester.
It was more than 2 games, wasn't it? They drew
Everton and Leicester. They drew 2 games.
Was that
was the crisis at Liverpool last year. That was the standard.
I remember them drawing.
They were unconvincing against West Ham, I think, at the same time, and scraped a win.
Yeah.
They had 2. They had a run of poor performances, and then they slipped up. Back to back in games against Leicester and Everton.
Yeah, I think this might be the most dominant that we've ever seen 2 teams side by side in the Premier League. We were talking before we went on air about Manchester United and Arsenal, the Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger,
and then even Jose and
Sir Alex here. Yeah. But like, this one seems to be. Obviously, Liverpool have to go and win it, because if they don't go and win it ever, then they can't be talked about in that.
No, of course, but Liverpool did beat them famously in the Champions League on the way to the final 2 years before. Where they beat them 3 times that season. They beat them twice in Anfield and once in the Etihad.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone thought that Klopp had Pep's number after that.
That was it. There was for that period that everyone was thinking that Liverpool were going to be the one. That was why it was surprising last year that City were the ones who came out on top in those 2 fixtures. I know it was tight, but certainly the game in the Etihad, I thought that City were better. And
interesting. I think that the game in Anfield, City were better, but watching the game in the Etihad, Vincent Kompany should have been sent off very early in that game, where he cleaned out Mo Salah on the halfway line.
You know I'm a fan of those sort of tackles. So.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of it, but I mean, if you're a striker, you'd be demanding a red card.
Yeah,
especially one with Mo Salah's pace.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And then there was the Mane. What was it? 30-something millimeters or 0.3 millimeters. What was it?
Yeah,
goal cleared off the line.
Yeah, it was right on the line. It was almost over, but it wasn't completely over.
Outrageously tight. Yeah. So I mean, like, that's what the title was decided on last year, on those fine margins.
Yeah.
And I mean, whatever happens on Sunday, I mean, Liverpool aren't as assured at the back this year as they were last year, but they seem to be finding the back of the net a little bit more, and the same could definitely be said for City. They're not so assured at the back this year either. So I mean, and last year, I don't think we're going to see a repeat of last year's 0-0. I think that both teams are only played one way at the minute.
With Liverpool, there's definitely been a loss of composure at the back. I don't know if as well as he did when he was playing in goals, Adrian, I don't know if the loss of Alisson and how commanding he is in
Yeah.
as Liverpool goalkeeper has had a knock-on effect. Van Dijk not having like a regular partner as well.
Definitely.
Although kind of last year they were able to deal with that. Gomez was the one who started off playing at the start of the season. He got injured.
Yeah.
Matip came in and did very well. And Matip did well at the start of this year, but then he got injured. But they haven't really. Is it Lovren? Is that
to be honest,
is that the issue?
To be honest, I think it's Virgil van Dijk is having the same problem that Mo Salah is having. That he set the bar so ridiculously high for himself.
Yeah.
In his first season, that it's just, unless you are Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, it's just impossible to live up to that standard every single week. And I mean, Virgil van Dijk is still a brilliant defender. Like,
Probably
I mean,
the best centre back in the world.
But I mean,
Probably.
you watch him every week, and I mean, he's made more mistakes in the early part of this season than he made in all of last season.
Yeah.
Because he made maybe one mistake all of last year, and that was giving away a penalty that Riyad Mahrez actually missed in Anfield. And I think that was the only mistake he made all of last year.
Didn't he not get dribbled by in the Premier League for Liverpool until Nicolas Pepe beat him twice?
And Nicolas Pepe did it, exactly. So there you go. We're talking about the fall of grace from last year. But no, he's just not being superhuman at the back. He made such a noticeable difference last year by playing out of his skin every week.
Yeah.
That, I mean, maybe it's just not possible to maintain that level every single week, especially in the early parts of the season. I think as the title race kind of heats up, as the Champions League heats up, you might see players like Salah and Virgil kind of coming back to the forefront. Whereas it's impossible, maybe, unless you are those two outrageous players, to stay 100% motivated for the whole year. Like when you're used to playing in big games, big semi-finals, finals, like they've both been nominated for Ballon d'Ors over the last couple of years. Actually, was Salah nominated for the Ballon d'Or 2 years ago?
No, I don't think so.
He wasn't after. Okay,
I don't think so.
Well, then, aside from the obvious
I don't remember
FIFA conspiracy, they've both been obvious elite players.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Regarded as the best, so maybe it can be hard to get up for Aston Villa away on a Saturday afternoon in early November, late October.
The thing is that it's so, like, no matter how good you are, you can't do it week in, week out for years. You can't. You can do it most weeks, but you can't do it every week. And what we've had with Van Dijk this year, and you see so much of this on Twitter, is you get these fucking idiots just slating him like if he commits a minor error. Yeah. And he's still been fantastically consistent. Like, it's not like he's kind of Mustafi figure who's committing multiple errors leading to goals season after season. Yeah. Like, he's not. He's just getting dribbled past a little bit more, maybe beaten in the air a little bit more. He's just not being as rock solid as we've come to expect from him.
But still considerably better than pretty much everyone else.
Exactly. That's because he set the bar so high, as you said earlier on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about how the managers have approached this game during the week. Now, straight away after their Premier League fixture, which took place at the same time as Liverpool's last week, they were both Saturday 3 p.m. And in his post-match conference with the BBC, Pep decided to start talking about Sadio Mane being booked for diving in the Liverpool game. I mean, I'm not convinced that he had time to watch a replay of Sadio Mane diving, and he certainly wasn't watching it live.
Neither am I.
So when he heard that Sadio Mane was booked for diving, he felt the need just to kind of maybe plant that seed in the referee's mind before Sunday, because we've seen Mane win a couple of key penalties, and Salah as well win a couple of key penalties for Liverpool. Yeah. With maybe not as much contact as traditionalists.
To be fair to Pep, there was a situation in the Liverpool match last weekend where Mane literally flung himself to the floor without any contact at all, and it was disgraceful.
And we're not saying and
he can't be doing that, but at the same time,
he coaches Raheem Sterling and Sergio Aguero and Leroy Sané, and I mean, do these guys never go down easy?
Yeah, it works both ways. No manager, even kind of the maybe the Steve Bruce's and the
Sean Dyche's
aside.
Sam Allardyce's.
Yeah, they can probably take them out high because like players would
Roy Hodgson.
They would be destroyed in training or after the game if they dived. Like, they really would. So But for everyone else, a manager complaining about diving, they don't have a leg to stand on, do they?
Yeah, so Klopp didn't turn around and say, well, your guys dive too. He instead pointed the finger and said, well, you guys like to commit a lot of tactical fouls all over the pitch. So
they're kind of pointing out the team's most common misdemeanors that they get away with, aren't they?
Are you saying the Liverpool players dive a lot?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. I think most people would say that.
we spoke about this last week and the need for clarity on the rules. You know,
we did. No, it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks. It was
when we spoke about VAR.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago,
yeah.
and you know, I've been watching. I said about like Marcelo won a couple of soft ones last year where people put a hand on his shoulder and he went tumbling to the floor, and people say that's not a natural fall. But if there's contact in the box and he's highlighting that contact, he wins a penalty through the letter of the law. I mean, people look at it and go, that's a dive. But you can see at the same time why a referee gives it, because you can see the contact. I mean, Chelsea won a soft penalty last week as well, or conceded a soft penalty even, I should say, where Delafeu was never getting anywhere near the ball.
Well, what we have to do is we have to have absolute clarity, and that every foul where someone just places a hand on an opposition player inside or outside the box or whatever it is, like puts a hand on their shirt, then every incident like that either has to not be a penalty or can be a penalty. Yeah. There can be no debate.
I mean, that can't be a free kick. We can't completely take contact out of football.
No, of course you can't. That's ridiculous.
So therefore, you have to define what a foul is.
Part of like jostling for the ball, it involves putting your hand on the opposite, or putting
your arm across,
pushing your body in the.
You win that shoulder
way.
battle first, and then get yourself in front of the ball. Like
absolutely, yeah. Obviously, you can't go over the top, but like, I think right now the rules are a little bit unclear. Because the referees are not being consistent with their decisions, and because VAR is not backing up the referees, like the decisions being made by both referees and VAR are not consistent. You have some incidents where a penalty will be given for a foul like the one we've been talking
about. It'll be given by the on-field official and not overruled.
Exactly.
The other way around. And then the following week it won't be given on-field, but it'll be overturned by the VAR.
Yeah, or like the player will be booked for diving on a review or initially and then over. There's just so much inconsistency. We're getting off topic here, but it's being done very poorly, and that it kind of comes back to what we were talking about.
I'm fed up with VAR, Joe.
So am I, Rafe. Yeah.
It's got to go.
Well, it's not going to go mid-season, is it?
No, it's not. And I assume the Premier League have signed some sort of contract with whoever does their the graphics and the monitoring, and because it's done. I remember having spoken about Firmino's offside last week, where he was ruled offside by his armpit.
Oh my god!
And the line seemed to be drawn at a strange angle.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not done in the VAR studios. Where is it? Stockley Park, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So apparently it's not done in Stockley Park. There's a third-party software that actually maps it up. So even if the lines look crooked on a 2D screen, that's how they would be reflected in 3D, apparently. So I mean, there's all of these software contracts that have to be given out.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't just be for one season kind of job.
No, of course not.
So I mean, no matter how much they wanted to bin it after year one, I think they've signed a deal with the devil that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it's not possible to get rid of it, and it should be being used because you need that level of technology to make the reason it was brought in for the right reasons. The issue that everyone has with it is that it's not being used for the right reasons, and it's routinely becoming the talking point of every Premier League week. Yeah, which is a joke. That was not why it was brought in.
No, we were sold it very much as something that would fix problems.
Yes, and it's giving us more.
It was a real utopian idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That's what we were worried about. We were worried that it would cut the drama out of football.
Yeah,
and in fact, quite the opposite, but in a bad way.
Yeah. No, it's really not been great. We'll go back to the football anyway. A little bit more about City and United. Pep Guardiola has asked the security company at Anfield and the police actually to guarantee the safety of the City players travelling into the game based on what happened in that Champions League game 2 years ago. Now, I mean, City have played at Anfield since.
Yeah.
Without any major dramas. But I think I think that the City players, having won the league last year, climbing onto a plane to the private jet to go and celebrate in Dubai or wherever they were going, and singing songs about Hillsborough and Sean Cox, the players singing these songs may have incensed a few Liverpool fans. I've seen some stuff on social media this week that would suggest that maybe there might be a repeat of 2 years ago.
Yeah. At the end of the day, safety is the first priority. So you can't be feeding players to rival fans.
No, absolutely not.
To be fair, in continental Europe, often for grounds that you would consider to be more hostile than others, you'll have a police route for specifically buses protected by police and walkways protected by police specifically for the travelling fans. So I'm sure, like, Pep Guardiola doesn't need to publicly state this.
No, he doesn't
need to make public.
Is this more of the mind games?
Of course it is. Everything with Pep Guardiola, like you must have, everything with Pep Guardiola, as good a manager as he is kind of soap opera, like
it is, but
PR in front of the camera, like every.
I mean, are Liverpool living in Pep's head right now? I mean, all he's been talking about all week, they dropped points midweek in their European game.
Yeah,
they missed a penalty, conceded a goal in the second half to draw 1-1 away from home.
Yeah.
And he ended up playing lots of his first teamers for the entire, whatever it was, 94 minutes. Sergio Aguero had to come off the bench. De Bruyne didn't get a rest and things like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they were focused on that game. Pep, straight away last weekend, before he'd even spoken to his team properly after the game, was already talking about Liverpool.
Well, he is, because he's won the Premier League back-to-back, and he's, like, the remit for City every single season, if the manager is settled, is win the league.
Yeah.
If you don't win the league, then see you later. And I don't think he's worried about losing his job, and I don't think actually for him, I think he's probably a unique case, and I don't think that would be in threat.
Has he created a case at City where the players might now be going into that game worried about their own safety, whereas some of them might not have thought about it before the game?
Yeah, it could be, but surely this is something that they will be aware of before. You can't sing inflammatory songs about an opposing team and that come to the public light and be circulated on social media and expect to be perfectly safe to travel to the away game. I mean, even if you were, like, at any level of football, you can't expect.
Do you know what I mean? If you didn't get on with some lads from the local team around the corner, like, I don't know, Glencormac or wherever is around the corner from us, like, do you know what I mean? If you said some inflammatory things to players, like, they'd come looking for you.
Sure.
Right. We won't talk too much more about Liverpool and City. That's probably enough. And VAR. Actually, we will talk a little bit more about VAR. One more incident that we want to talk about was the unfortunate injury to Andre Gomez.
Yeah.
As a result of two tackles, or something in the middle of two tackles with Heung-min Son and Serge Aurier.
Yeah.
Both players were absolutely distraught on the day. Son's yellow card appeared to be upgraded on the spot to a red card, and Aurier was immediately substituted after the incident.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the sending off of Son, which has since been rescinded. We won't even speak about the fact that Atkinson is still refereeing. Or do you want to talk about it for a second?
We can, whatever you want to discuss, we can.
Well, let's talk about Atkinson for a second. The man who's in the middle of this. I mean, he's been at the centre of a few high-profile refereeing incidences over the last few weeks.
I would say that there are two highly experienced Premier League referees who like to make the games all about themselves. One more so than the other. That would be Mike Dean. You can see with his flamboyant way of refereeing.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh my God. It's actually, like, I think that type of I was going to say, actually, I think that type of refereeing should be, like, outlawed, and you should be criticised for that. But in cricket, do you remember Billy Bowden used to always do... That's the same thing, playing up to the camera, and I quite like that. But I think Mike Dean takes it a bit too far.
We'll talk about Atkinson for a minute anyway.
Atkinson, he just seems to be getting a lot of decisions wrong. Consistently, yeah. And I mean,
if it was anybody else, they wouldn't be refereeing Premier League games. They'd be doing Championship and League One.
But it's because these guys are, like, so experienced. But, like, Martin Atkinson has been a Premier League referee for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he's always been there. I don't always remember him being this bad. It seems to be kind of a recent... I don't know if he's been too long in the job, like he's not fresh anymore,
not interested in
not
it
interested,
so much, he's not concentrating as much.
Exactly.
Maybe he's less physically fit.
Yeah, his eyesight, you never know, or he could be getting complacent. He could be bored and just want to mess up. You know, we don't know, and I'm not saying that this is anything, but you know, we're just guessing, hypothesizing.
I don't know. I'm sick of seeing him referee.
I'm sick of seeing him referee as well, because again, he makes it all about himself, and he's getting.
We talk about VAR getting decisions wrong. He's getting decisions wrong.
Yeah, and he's getting them wrong on VAR as well. Yeah. Which doesn't help. He was in charge of that Liverpool game, wasn't he? He was the one who made the Firmino call.
Yeah, he did.
For me, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
like
he also refereed the Liverpool United game, as far as I know.
Yeah, he did.
And didn't give that free kick before the United goal when Origi was fouled.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is correct.
Yeah. Would you say that he has an agenda?
Do you know what? I'm going to say it right now. He does. He has an agenda.
Is he refereeing the Sunday kickoff at 4:30?
What do you mean by that?
No, is he refereeing the Liverpool City game?
I really hope that he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, that would not be fair if he was. I need to check now and find out. The next thing that we want to talk about... No, we can keep talking about that. The tackle itself, Joe.
Yeah.
You saw it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was a horrific injury. Don't wish that on anyone. What I would say... I don't think... Obviously, Son did not go out to commit a tackle, to injure the player. And it wasn't just Son, because it was caught between two tackles. But Son went out to commit a professional foul when Gomez was running towards Serge Aurier. Like, he intentionally took him down. There's no doubt about that. He went out of his way.
Oh, he did, yeah. It was like Chaudhry's tackle on Salah a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. I remember, sorry to talk about Arsenal all the time, but I remember a tackle that Xhaka committed against Swansea in his first season, and it was almost carbon copy for that. The opposing player was on a...
I thought we banned
Xhaka for the week.
Show today. Apologies to anybody listening at home. We had promised not to talk about
I think we promised not to talk about the Xhaka incident or current
Xhaka gate
or Xhaka issues. But the opposing player was running down the wing on a counter attack, and Xhaka jumps in and clips him up at his knee to make sure he brings him down, and he gets sent off. And you usually think that's a yellow card, and it was very similar to the Son one. Son sees the counter attack, sees the player breaking away from him, he jumps in the air and he clips him and he brings him down.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really poor tackle.
It was a really poor tackle.
But we're talking about Atkinson because he walked over with a yellow card in his hand.
Saw Gomez's leg.
Was like, oh my goodness. saw Son's reaction. It was like,
yeah,
hang on a second, I'm just going to pull out a red one instead. The Premier League came out and defended it after the game, but then upheld the appeal, which doesn't really make a lot of sense at all.
No.
They came out and said that the red card was given for endangering the safety of a player after a tackle.
Yeah.
Basically backing up the ref and then hanging him out to dry in the appeals process. So I'm not really sure.
Maybe, considering how the Premier League are acting, is it any surprise that VAR is the way that it is? Or that the referees are the way that they are? Because
I don't think so.
Oh my God. There's just no consistency whatsoever across the board.
If anybody just listens to us on Spotify and has no idea what that strange cracking, exploding noise is that happens 3 or 4 times during a show, that's us opening a can of Guinness.
Yeah, we like to... There was one week where we were drinking wine, and there was one week where we just had coffee. But
we had complaints about the wine, and we got the jitters on the coffee.
Yeah, so ideally we'd be drinking Guinness.
Yeah, so that
not too many, one or two. That's, just a couple.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a couple.
Just a few. Who else do we want to talk about? Because we do have to get through a bit more stuff on the show. I would like to talk about... while Liverpool are on the agenda, Joe's exploded a can of Guinness all over himself here, lads. While we're on the Liverpool agenda, Jurgen Klopp had obviously complained about some of the fixtures. And Pep had actually complained that Liverpool had the easier fixture list.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas break. The Professional Footballers Player Union came out today and basically published reports of a survey done over the last year of top flight footballers about the number of games they're being asked to play and where they're being asked to travel to. And it's found out the top players like Mane and Van Dijk are set to play over 60 games in 2019 over club and country.
Yeah.
With Mane in particular playing in Africa, racking up an outrageous number of air miles.
Yeah.
We spoke about the desire to watch loads and loads of football, but when does football become too much?
I think I mentioned it just earlier on in this podcast that first and foremost, safety has to be the absolute priority of the players. So,
should there be a cap put on the number of games a professional player should be allowed to play in a year?
Is every player's body the same? Like, I'm sure there are some. Well,
Mane doesn't seem to have an issue.
He doesn't. Alexis Sanchez didn't seem to have an issue, but he played 3 full seasons in Premier League football in a row, and 3 Copa Americas back to back because they had the centenary Copa America as well, and he had the World Cup. Sorry, no, it was 3 international tournaments back to back.
Yeah,
and so he would have been playing like, I don't know, 60 games of football a year, and his form has fallen off a cliff. Like, so I suppose there's that.
There came a point where he was just burnt out.
Exactly, yeah. That you just, if you're a high energy player,
you're
not going to be able to continue like that. So although Mane's been able to cope, so like I think that's a decent comparison. Mane and Sanchez like similar positions and
similar miles.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, South America is a little bit further.
It is than Senegal, but like similar positions, similar style of play.
Yeah, I mean, Firmino's doing it as well, going to Brazil.
He is, and he's an high energy player as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we've been joined by a dog, by the way.
Yeah, this is Harvey, lads, if you can see him there.
But yeah, no, there should be a cap on the amount of games that you should play. You can play, right?
55, 60, 50?
Like, realistically, it's going to be over 50, isn't it? I'd say 60. Anything over 60.
So what happens then? Say he's got 2 club games and 2 country games left scheduled to play, and he's only got 2 games left as a quota. I mean, does he have to make that decision? Is he contracted to his club side? Does he have to miss the international games then? I mean, are the international fans let down then?
It's a really tough call.
Or are there just too many competitions now? I mean, Liverpool are being asked to go and play in the Club World Cup. They played Champions League. They play their pre-season games.
Yeah.
On tour. Is there too many international games during the year? I don't think we've spoken about it on show about how we'd like to structure international football.
Yeah.
And maybe have a shorter Premier League season, but have all the games condensed without international breaks. Then have a summer international season with a longer break for the players at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We had spoken about that.
We have certainly spoken about that in the past.
How would we do that? When would we start the Premier League season?
September. Not August. September, because August would have to be the holiday time.
Okay, so if we play September through to
April. You could do that, yeah, you could get it all done on that. Then you could have a couple of weeks off and go to do the internationals between May and
I don't know
July.
if maybe I don't even know if they want a week off, but that they probably want to.
They want to continue.
I'd say so.
I'd say they could have a week off.
A week.
and continue. I'm not talking about extended holiday. Just a rest.
So a week off mid-April, end of April,
late April to start in May. To start internationals between May.
And then finish the 3rd week of April.
Yeah, and then you have May, June, and July to do internationals.
Yeah,
we're talking about all the qualifiers. Or if it's tournament season, then you do tournaments.
I'd imagine Europe and just coordinated around the world.
Exactly. Yeah. None of this World Cup 2022 Christmas Qatar rubbish.
No,
that we're seeing. That's another.
We've
podcast.
That's a whole podcast.
That's maybe even a couple of podcasts, a double header, 2-hour podcast. But you have it throughout the summer, May, June, July, and then August. Rest. Players have a month off. Where are they having pre-season? They usually have 6 weeks pre-season.
Yeah, man, exactly. This is it. Like,
do they need 3 months for international games?
2.5.
2 months.
2 months. That's 8 weeks.
Yeah, and then
8 weeks of international football.
Yeah,
and they don't even need 8.
Yeah.
If you had a major tournament, how long does that last? 5 weeks.
5-6 weeks. Say if we give 8, because you can have some rest in between, and then they have a month off, and then they start pre-season. And can
you make the Premier League season finish
in mid-April and push it back 2 weeks?
Even the start of April.
Yeah.
How many weeks is that? So if you're starting September, you get what? 4.5 weeks in September, 4.5 weeks in October is 9 weeks.
4 in November.
4 in November.
5 in December.
5, so that's another 9. So you've got 18 by December. January you've got 4.5. February you've got 4. It's another 8.5 is what, 17.5. And then you've got, you want to be finished at
April.
So you've got about 20 weeks to get 38 games, and that's 2 games a week. Not really.
But think about it now. They started in mid-August and they finish in early May.
Okay, how many weeks of international break do they take?
They take two weeks in September, right? One at the start and one at the end.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, and then they take another in November.
We're
having one after this.
Yeah, after this game week.
Yeah, we're having 2 weeks.
Are we having 2 weeks?
Or it's just
1 week.
No, we're having a week international break. Yeah, so that's 3 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, and then are there any international breaks after Christmas?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So maybe we're talking about condensing the international break to about 6 weeks at the most.
So I mean, that's only 3 weeks that we could save off the Premier League by reducing the international breaks.
Yeah, but anyway, we don't want to talk about this forever on this podcast. But that's certainly the way that I think it should be done.
Broken down because when you're watching international football, you like to kind of get interested in international football. It's not a year-round thing.
That's the thing, and the only I don't know about everyone else. I love the World Cup. The World Cup is the best. It's better than the absolute best. It's better than the Premier League.
It is the best competition in the world.
It's the best competition in the world ever. My wife was pregnant with our son during the last World Cup, and I was just so. I was very focused on the baby and everything, but I was just so World Cup. I was literally watching 3 games a day. I'm lucky my boss is a big football fan as well. So in the office, we always had our both laptops. We had the World Cup games on. It's brilliant. And part of the reason why the World Cup is so good is it takes place in the summer and it's in a set period of time.
It is.
And I would be surprised if people disliked international football as much as they do if it was set in a
if it didn't break up the Premier League.
Exactly.
People's only agenda with international football is that it breaks up the Premier League.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Because you just you get into the Premier League. You're like, yes, Premier League is back.
Who are my team playing?
Yeah, and then kind of after 3 or 4 games, it's an international break. It's just getting started. New players, transfer deadline day has only just been cut back, but it used to be the start of September, and you could have just signed a new player, and then you have to wait 2 weeks to see them play because it's an international.
The thing about international breaks, I know that the Nations League has come in now, and it's but I mean, when England or Ireland play qualifiers, they're normally painful. Do you know what I mean? European qualifiers and World Cup qualifiers are normally trips to Eastern Europe, and in England's cases, normally they know it's a guaranteed win, and in Ireland's cases, normally you're guaranteed to watch a shite game of football.
Yeah, always.
So I mean, do you know what I mean? People don't get a buzz about it. It's not like, do you know what I mean? You're playing in a really exciting up and coming national team like Switzerland or somewhere where, you know what I mean, your team are playing nice football and they're probably going to win but they might not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that appeal to it at all. So international football could definitely be restructured.
It should be.
Should be restructured.
It should be. I'd like to get viewers' opinion on that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if any romantics there that are in love with international breaks, definitely contact
let us know. But what do you guys think? Maybe we can get a poll going on Twitter and see. That's a fantastic. After the
you didn't do any polls this week.
I did a poll.
Did you?
Did an
Emery in or out. Do you want to announce the results of the poll?
It was 89%, 40 votes, 89% out, and I don't think that any Arsenal fan who voted in the poll would have voted Emery in. I think you'd have to be. Of course you did. I think you'd have to be sectioned if you're an Arsenal fan voting Emery in. Anyway, no, seriously, we'd love to hear from anyone watching on any platform about what you think of international football. Is it being done right? Would it be better if we just limited it to the summer, had a specific set period after the league seasons have been finished? But then there are some leagues that run through the summer. Doesn't the MLS go through the summer?
The Irish League goes
through the summer. The Irish League certainly goes through the summer. Maybe we have some league.
But I mean, the MLS, I know you've done a bit of research on the MLS this week.
I have. Well, I meant to put out a video on the MLS this week for Joe's Corner. I was away for work.
I'm going to ask you a question about the MLS. Yeah. Do you think that that soccer in the US...
Sorry, what?
Football in the United States, in America,
right.
is popular enough to compete with the winter sports over there? It's still billed as a summer sport over there, so it doesn't compete with the traditional American football and basketball winter sports.
Yeah, because there are enough people who are watching it purely as football fans now. It's the third highest viewed sport in the country.
So is it time they've made the shift?
Man, in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, more people watch GAA and more people watch rugby than watch football.
Go to games, absolutely.
Yeah, and watch it and follow. It's in Ireland, football is the third most popular sport.
Yeah,
and
fair.
Where we live, certainly, maybe not so much in other parts of the country, but where we live, people are obsessed with football. Like, we're obsessed with football.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the United States. And if you like compare Ireland to the United States in terms of population and infrastructure and everything, like...
Yeah, but I mean, we still play summer over here because we don't want to compete with the Premier League, the viewing times. We play summers and we play Friday night games and things like this because we don't want to have any sort of clash between people watching the English game and watching the Irish game. So, I mean, if people in the States are all massive Premier League fans as well as being American soccer fans.
That's a good question.
Do you know what I mean? And their teams are both suddenly playing on the same day. Someone's not going to get a view, or someone's not going to get a watch, or someone's not going to buy a ticket to something. Is that possibly the bigger issue? Are all of the soccer fans over there fans of European and English soccer as well as MLS soccer, or are there any exclusive MLS fans?
I think a lot of them are also fans of Premier League clubs, and not exclusively Premier League. La Liga as well. I think the two big hitters in Spain, Real Madrid and Barcelona, are very popular.
Man, I read something massively interesting this week, actually.
Tell
Do you
me.
know that it's estimated that up to 1,000 English fans travel to see Borussia Dortmund play every single week?
Just for Sancho, or they're just fans
No,
of
man, they're European football tourists. So
wow,
a lot of them would actually regularly go and watch Borussia Dortmund because they're guaranteed fantastic atmosphere, good football. Flights, I read last week for their home game from Stansted, flights cost £57 and a ticket cost £27 for their Champions League game against Inter Milan.
Yeah, I need
Flights cost them £57
return,
and the match ticket cost them £27
It's insane
to watch Borussia Dortmund play Inter Milan midweek in the Champions League.
It's insane. Less than £100 for that. It's insane.
Up to 1,000 English fans go to watch Borussia Dortmund play every week.
And too right as well. Do you know what? When I go away for work, for those that obviously don't know,
Wait till Brexit.
I go to Leuven, which is just outside of Brussels in Belgium, and it's really close to where Bayer Leverkusen are situated.
Yeah.
And my boss is actually a huge Bundesliga fan, and he keeps up to date. I don't think he has one team, but he watches like the Bundesliga regularly. So he kind of wants to see all those teams do well in Europe as opposed to Premier League. He's a West Ham fan, so they're never in the Champions League to begin with. But that's something I should be taking advantage of as someone who spends a decent amount of his time throughout the year in that part of the world, taking a train which would probably cost about 30-40 quid return to Western Germany to take in a Champions League or Bundesliga game.
So you've heard it now. Joe's going to give us a live report from his next trip to Germany. He's going to go over and see Leverkusen play.
I will, yeah. I will, yeah.
So there's a feature to look forward to.
Yeah.
We'll have insider interviews. We'll have a stadium tour. We'll
have everything, yeah.
We'll have a jersey going in the
We'll
background.
have fan cams afterwards.
Fan cams from Leverkusen. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
I was hoping to see Standard Liège Arsenal in December, but I'm not going over in December. So
anyway, you might find yourself over there.
You never know.
Never
anyway,
know.
is it judging by how things are going at the moment? It's not the worst game to miss.
No, probably not. So we'll get on to some predictions. Anyway, for the weekend, we spoke enough about Liverpool City. We'll get to that. Tonight, this evening, Friday. This is being recorded. Hopefully, you probably won't get to see it before kick-off, considering it's in an hour. Norwich host Watford. Joe, people are going to know how this game went down before they're watching.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking back saying, "You're an idiot. You got it wrong." Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? Are Norwich going to break their duck, or are Watford going to break their duck?
Watford are going to break their duck. Watford have been playing all right for weeks. They just haven't been getting results. Honestly, every single time I've watched them, they've been half decent.
Norwich are at the stage now where they're losing to Watford, who've got 5 points from 11 games.
Yeah, Watford. It's.
And they've got 5 points from 11 games.
It's the 8th of November. It's still early. It's not quite mid, but still early November when the season kicks off in August and not even got a win.
Is Troy Deeney back? don't think so.
I don't know. He is a very good player for them.
Yeah.
A very important player. I think regardless they'll win.
Alright, what score?
2-1. I don't think Norwich are up to too much.
2-1?
Yeah, 2-1 Watford.
Okay. Oh, hang on.
They were really good against Spurs.
1-2, so in Norwich, in Carrow Road.
It's not the most, it's not the most intimidating place to go. East Anglia.
I am gonna say Norwich are gonna squeeze this one out. Team of Pukki hasn't scored in 7 games?
Timu Pukki.
No,
there's a reason I'm top of our fantasy league and I never brought him into my team. Actually, top of both fantasy leagues I'm in.
He's been bottom of the league up till this week, so I wouldn't get too carried away.
I haven't.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Norwich, man.
You can't go from bottom to top in 1 week.
It's a tight league, man. Chelsea play Palace Saturday, 3 p.m.
Yeah. 2-1 Chelsea win.
2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I've been rooting against them the last few weeks, and they've won. And
they keep doing that, don't they?
Yeah, and probably if I go for them this week, they'll lose. But I do think they're in very good form. Lampard won Premier League Manager of the Month for the first time, and you'd have to say deservedly so. He's done very well.
2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna say 1-1, man. 2-2. 2-2. I think Palace have got it in, and Roy Hodgson is due a result. He was absolutely fuming last week and didn't get one. I think Chelsea are due a slip up as well.
Probably are. You're probably right.
Do you know what I mean? They've been winning, playing great football going forwards. Outrageously poor going backwards.
Palace are good on the road.
Palace are good on the
especially
break
against the big teams.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a draw on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have enough to actually get the big W, but seeing a draw. Burnley take on West Ham. Oh my goodness.
We were meant to talk a bit about West Ham.
Yeah, we can talk about them now for a minute.
Yeah, they've been in shocking form for over a month.
Absolutely.
Well,
man, they've been rubbish.
They've been rubbish. They started the season brightly and Ale was scoring a couple of goals, but they've been shocking.
I think in our first podcast, which this is now 5 or 6? 5?
Yeah.
This is 5, is it?
Yeah, I think it's 5, yeah.
In our first one, I think we predicted them to finish top half. Both of us.
I think we were
finish top half.
predicting them to finish 6th or 7th, man. That's not
how they have fallen.
Oh my god. Is Pellegrini under threat?
Where are West Ham in the league? West Ham,
13th.
They're joined 13th, along with United, Spurs and Wolves, who are quite decent. If you said to West Ham fans that they would be level with United, Spurs and Wolves at the start of the season, after 11 games, they'd say, yeah, that's grand. But if you said to them that they'd be behind Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Brighton and Crystal Palace...
But those teams that you've just mentioned have been playing well, and West Ham don't deserve to be any higher than they are. Absolutely, the bottom half for a reason. They've been
absolutely
shocking.
Not. Yeah.
Having
said that, they're 5 points off relegation, and they are 4 points off 5th.
Man, we're not expecting West Ham to get relegated. The thing is, the money they've spent, the players that they have, that we expect West Ham to be finishing in the top half. Like,
yeah, but I mean, do they have more money than most now? I mean, other teams are catching up. The disparity of wealth in the Premier League is reducing. Do you know what I mean? The wealth is being more regulated with TV money and things like this.
They have more money than Crystal Palace. They have more money than Bournemouth. Who else did you say is ahead of them?
Palace?
Brighton. No.
Palace.
Is that Brighton and Hove Albion? BHA?
Yeah, 8th.
They have more money than Brighton.
Palace are 9th. They have more money than Palace.
Yeah, of course they do.
They have more money than Sheffield United.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They've spent lots of money in the last few years, and they've not got anywhere. I would describe West Ham as the Arsenal of the mid-table.
How so?
They're just wildly inconsistent. They're so frail at the back. Like the goals they can
surely that's just Everton.
Another you could say that about them as well. Everton are even worse than West Ham.
We'll talk about Everton in a minute anyway. Burnley and West Ham.
Yeah, 2-0 Burnley.
2-0 Burnley.
Yeah, 2-0 Burnley.
I don't think you're too far wrong. Burnley do love a clean sheet.
Especially at home, man.
Yeah, and West Ham are due a hiding, man. Everton, and we were talking about how poor Everton are. Everton really should have absolutely hockeyed them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Newcastle should have been 5-0 up at half time.
Oh my god! If Sam Maximan could finish,
so I mean they are due an absolute hiding, but look, Burnley are due a win as well. Man, I'm gonna think there's gonna be goals from this one. I think it's gonna be 4-1 to Burnley.
Man, Burnley don't win 4-1. When's the last time Burnley won 4-1?
When's the last time Burnley scored 4 goals?
It's a very good question.
Do you know what? We'll have the answer. I'll have the answer for you on Rafe Reviews, and the answer will be Saturday, 3 p.m. when they beat West Ham 4-1. I put it in the Newcastle Bournemouth. That's what confused me. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Newcastle Bournemouth, Joe.
Yeah.
Before I cross it out, are Newcastle going to win 4-1?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Newcastle have been doing very well.
Newcastle, you say they've been doing very well. I was under the impression they've been doing very well. Newcastle
Are they
are
16th?
15th on 12 points after 11 games.
The thing is, Newcastle lost Rafa Benitez and Steve Bruce, who's the most experienced manager in the Premier League to have the worst win rate. You know what I mean? Like the manager who's managed like a really significant amount of games in the Premier League, but still has a win percentage of like 25-26%, maybe 28.
I think that was before he took over. He was 25.
He'd be very low on the list of most clubs' desired managers.
I think so too.
And for that fact and that fact alone, I think that them staying in the Premier League is a success. So for them to be in 15th, and for me to say that that's them doing well for a club like Newcastle, is just because of the owner and the manager.
I mean, they're ahead of Aston Villa, Everton, Southampton, Norwich, and Watford.
It's funny. Aston Villa, like, historically a great Premier League club, but for Villa coming up this year, it's all about survival, isn't it?
And do you know what? I think they're going to get better. They've been in good form.
They have some really good players. John McGinn stands out, and Conor Hurahan in midfield.
Yeah,
and Grealish.
Obviously, Jack Grealish is the star, the captain.
And actually, Wesley, that guy up front, has looked pretty.
That guy, the big heavy Brazilian that seems to know where the back of the net is.
Yeah, he's looked decent. It's just the defence that they need to sort out. Except for things.
They're going to beat Bournemouth.
No, I think it's going to be a draw.
You think it's going to be a draw?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a scoreless draw, man.
That's an interesting shout. Newcastle traditionally tight at the back. They've been a bit looser this year, but Bournemouth obviously with 1 goal in their last 4 games, coming at home.
Bournemouth are also decent at the back. They've had a couple of 0-0s recently.
They've had 2 of the last 3 0-0.
Yeah,
3 clean sheets in a row now.
Yeah. I have Sergio Rico. He's usually on my bench, but my defense has been doing well.
Do you know what? I think that it is also going to be a draw. Actually, no, I don't. I think Bournemouth are going to win it. I think Bournemouth are going to win it 2-1, actually, Joe. 2-1. Late goal.
Josh King.
I put him in the fantasy team.
I wouldn't mind that.
Put him back in.
He's always in my fantasy team. He's a good player.
Southampton take on Everton.
Those are 2 dreadful teams.
I mean, let me tell you about Southampton right now. They are 18th and they've got 8 points from 11 games. I mean,
it's not just their form over this season, though, isn't it? It's since Claude Puel left and they brought in Mauricio Pellegrino, and then he was sacked and Hasenhüttl took over.
Before the season, I mean, Hasenhüttl was quite good at the end of last year, and Everton looked quite promising as well.
Yeah.
So if I said to you that in game week 12, Southampton would host Everton, what position would you have expected those teams to be in?
I would never be surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised for Southampton to be 18th.
Do you think we'd be talking about 17th versus 18th?
The surprise is Everton being that bad. I like for me, Everton being bad should be about 11th or 12th.
So a good win for Southampton puts Everton in the drop zone, regardless of any other result. After 12 games, Everton could be in the relegation zone.
Yeah, I think that Marco Silva, if he wasn't given the sack for losing tomorrow, if they lose, that his job would be hanging by a thread. It's the international break.
I've been predicting him getting sacked for weeks now.
We both have. I think that, as everyone knows, the third international break is a time. It's long enough before Christmas. Not enough a few enough games played that in the boards of clubs' minds, a change could be positive.
Yeah.
Anything afterwards is kind of seen as like this has just gone too far. This has ended, kind of thing. I think we could be seeing more than one manager lose their job after this weekend.
There's a funny expression in Italy about managers getting sacked early in the season. I'm trying to think who I heard talking about this. It was on the Guardian Football Weekly pod. It was their Italian correspondent that was telling this story. But anyway, in Italy there's an expression that they don't get their Christmas. What do they eat in Italy?
Panettone.
Panettone. Yeah, essentially they don't get their panettone. So they talk about managers getting their panettone and not getting their panettone, and they'll always say, "This man's not getting his panettone," or "He missed his panettone." Yeah. So apparently, so you don't reckon that Marco Silva's getting his panettone?
I don't think so.
Is Hasenhüttl getting his panettone?
No.
Is Mauricio Pochettino getting his panettone? I mean, I think the Spurs fans are back on board with him. They were singing his name midweek. Spurs in Europe have gone from a record home defeat to a record away win to a record home win to a record away win.
Yeah.
Are they back on track? I know.
No.
I mean, I said they were awful in race reviews.
They Spurs have to do a whole lot more. Where are they? 11th.
Spurs find themselves 11th, level 10th with United, also level 13th and 12th with Wolves and West Ham.
If and when Tottenham Hotspur are back top 5, you could say that.
Having said that, I mean, now Arsenal are 5th and they are 4 points ahead of West Ham in 13th.
Yeah, it could change.
It's very tight.
It is very tight, yeah.
I mean, from Everton in 17th to Arsenal in 5th, there are 6 points. So let's not be too dramatic. I mean,
in 2 weeks, Arsenal could be 17th if results didn't go their way.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Well, possibly not even know. The teams playing each other. But I mean, 3 weeks' time, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I think Spurs would be foolish to sack Pochettino. He's been the best manager that they've had in Premier League history.
Okay, let's not talk about Spurs for a minute. Southampton, Everton, give us a result.
Christ. 2-1 Everton, because Southampton are just very, 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 very bad.
Are they done? Are they going down this year?
Southampton?
Yeah,
they're done.
All right.
It's and they deserve to go down. Because they're really poor.
Happy with that 1-2, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, I'm gonna disagree with you. Well, I'm gonna agree with you. Southampton are gonna go down. I think Marco Silva is gonna live to fight. I think he's gonna live to fight another week.
Yeah,
I think
it's gonna be a draw.
I think this is a battle of who's gonna get sacked first. Right. I think Marco Silva is gonna come out now. I think he's gonna come out on top. I think that it's going to be 1-0 to Everton. I mean, Spurs Everton last week.
We agree. I said 2-1 to Everton.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, then we agree on two things. We agree on two things. Spurs are rubbish. Everton are rubbish. But Everton are less rubbish than Southampton.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Southampton are majorly rubbish.
They are the most rubbish. They're probably more rubbish than Watford and Norwich. They're probably the most rubbish.
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished last.
No, neither would I. Spurs, who are also rubbish, take on Sheffield United, who are pretty bloody good.
Sheffield United are playing some really decent football. You have to say that.
Someone on this pod has been talking about it for a few weeks now.
He has. Rafe loves an up-and-coming Midlands or Northern team. Burnley. A few years ago,
I heard of this team. They're
Manchester.
I don't know. They're mid-table anyway. They're meant to be coming along. Next year's their year or something. I don't know.
A few years ago, Rafe had Ashley Barnes in his fantasy football team week in, week out when he was scoring like 5 goals.
Cheap as chips, man. Spurs Sheffield
United, because we also have Sheffield Wednesday. Who
they're not playing in the Premier League though.
No, but massive respect for them.
Respect for Wednesday.
I've always had a soft spot for Sheffield Wednesday.
Really?
Draw. Yeah, draw.
Do the Arctic Monkeys like them or something?
No, I got into. I started watching the Premier League in the 1998-1999 season, and Sheffield Wednesday were playing Premier League football then. So every team that was in the Premier League then was my.
It was like when Leicester came back. It was brilliant.
They were in that season as well. So were Derby, Charlton Athletic. It was like that. That season for me is Nottingham Forest. That season for me is the.
I know. I remember having FIFA 97. and there was an indoor mode and it was fucking class. One of the, I'm actually going to see if I can get it retro one that I can play. But yeah, maybe fall in love with FIFA.
I got a retro game on it was Actua Soccer, which was I don't know from where, but I got Actua Soccer 97, which I used to play on the PC, but I got it for PlayStation a few years ago, and it did not live up to the hype. So I warn you that you may become too used to what we have now to go back and get a retro football game.
I know. They brought back the indoor football though this year in FIFA.
And Troops is the commentator.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's class.
So big up to Troops if he ever watches that.
I've got FIFA. I just played too much Ultimate Team to ever play the indoor stuff.
But that's class. Like I think to go from like I don't know what he was doing, but to go from like just talking for Arsenal Fan TV fan cams to having a really serious role on AFTV to be a voice on FIFA.
Yeah, it's huge.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fair play to the lad.
Absolutely fair play.
Yo, you said draw. Give me a score.
2-2.
2-2.
There'll be some goals. Yeah.
Do you know what, man? You're not gonna want to hear it, but Spurs are gonna win. Sheffield United are absolutely savage at home. Yeah. Spurs are shit, but they're not that shit. They've scored some goals recently, man. Harry Kane's going to be back in the team. They're going to win. They're going to win 2-0. 2-0. It's going on the paper. And Leicester play Arsenal. You probably want to talk about this one for a minute. 5:30 on Saturday.
I don't want to talk about it for too long, no.
Why is that, Joe?
Because Arsenal have... I couldn't have watched Arsenal midweek. I was out and about for work all day on Wednesday, but they've been dire.
How does it feel to be the Europa League Wednesday 5:30 kickoff?
Well, it was moved, but it doesn't feel good, and it's been too long in the Europa League. Way too long. And you did warn me when Arsenal were first in the Europa League. I remember because we were living together in this apartment actually.
In the studio.
In the
PFP studio.
In the PFP studio.
Yeah.
But you did warn me that that once you get into the Europa League, you can find yourself stuck there for way too long.
An uncomfortably long period of time.
Yeah, and I mean, we analysed Liverpool's period in the Europa League. I think there were 2 8th, 2 7th and 2 6th place finishes with 1 second place finish in 6 years, which is just shocking. Arsenal haven't been that bad, but still.
That Rodgers had Liverpool in the Champions League was the first time in 10 years they've been in the Champions League.
It's crazy. Because with Benitez, they were out.
No, sorry. When Klopp took them back
to the Champions League.
Yeah,
it was the first time, except for Rodgers, that they were in the Champions League.
That was the second time in 10 years.
That's right.
So it was two out of 10 years that they were in the Champions League.
When Emery first came in, I thought that Arsenal would be winning a Premier League title within 5 years.
Man, the Premier League is hard to win.
It is hard to win. I saw a lot of progress under Unai Emery last season, and it just fell off a cliff in the last 6-7 games of the season.
I mean, Man City are not going anywhere ever.
No, they're not.
Ever. They are a force.
They are a force, of course they are. And Liverpool have done so well to come back from what they were to what they are now.
We'll talk about those guys in a minute. Let's go back to Arsenal for a minute.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I was really impressed with a lot of what Unai Emery did last season. We were running the most in the league, which shows that the squad were buying into what he was doing like mad.
And sprints mean, like when Poch came in at Spurs, sprints were a big thing. When Klopp came in at Liverpool, it was a big thing.
Poch's Tottenham's sprints are down after 4 or 5 years. Emery's Arsenal's sprints are down after 18 months.
Yeah,
the players are clearly not buying into what he's doing. I don't know if it's because he's continually his treatment of Mesut Ozil, who is such a popular member of the squad. Like there's a right and a wrong way to go about leaving such a popular member out of the squad out. And I think that his man management skills are really poor.
He's meant to have an issue communicating with the players. His English is meant to be great.
I think
he seems quite passive in the way that he allowed the Arsenal team to pick their own captain.
Yeah,
rather than being a strong manager and actually saying, this is who my captain is.
That's a joke.
I mean, you hear interviews with former players. I mean, like at At amateur level, that's the kind of thing you hear happening all the time.
But most times the captain picks themselves because they're such a dominant force in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And as nice a guy as Granit Xhaka is, like, he doesn't seem like a.
No, apparently
dominant
he's meant to
force.
love handing out fines and stuff, and he is meant to be that guy. And the players
Emery.
Xhaka.
Right.
And the players do see him as an authority figure, but
Well,
he's meant to be quite well respected. And I'm not saying they got it wrong in terms of who they feel the leader is, but he might be the leader, but he's also not
good enough.
to be in the team every week.
Yeah.
And that's where the manager's got to sit down and say, you know what, I need a leader, but who in my guaranteed 5 or 6 starters? And they've given it to Aubameyang. There's rumours of him going in January.
I wouldn't be surprised if him going.
Him and Lacazette are both meant to want to go in January to get Champions League football. They can still play Champions League this year.
I'm not worried about either of them leaving. More so Aubameyang than Lacazette, even though he's
Aubameyang's older.
No, Aubameyang's a much better player than Lacazette. Lacazette has scored 1 goal away from home in the last year.
But I think Martin.
Lacazette
I think
a good
one
player,
of them could well go in January.
Aubameyang has less left on his contract.
Yeah.
I think he has just 18 months at this stage. Lacazette still has.
I mean,
2.5
what's to say that Barcelona or Real Madrid, who are both trying to replace aging strikers, aren't going to come in and say, "We'll have him for 18 months."
I don't get it. Why replace Suarez with Aubameyang when in 18 months you're going to have to replace Aubameyang with someone else? It doesn't make sense.
They've got an infinite pool of money at Barcelona. They've got this
Maybe.
losing mentality.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, no.
Give us a score, Leicester Arsenal.
3-0 Leicester.
This is the first time you've predicted an Arsenal loss on the pod.
Yeah, but Arsenal have been so bad.
I think last time when I said Arsenal weren't going, when you said I will never predict an Arsenal loss unless they're playing Liverpool or City away on this pod.
They've just done too much.
In the last 7 days,
It's just been
too much has changed.
Well,
3-0 to Leicester.
It was the game last weekend.
You don't think Arsenal are going to score?
No.
3-0 to Leicester in defiance. I think he actually thinks he's wrong with Arsenal and he wants them to win.
Fuck Unai Emery. Fucking Basque Dracula.
Steady on. I think that Leicester are going to win, and I think they're going to win 3-2. We'll move to Sunday. United host Brighton and Hove Albion.
Well, very, very passionate about Hove.
I have a lot of time for Hove.
2-0 United.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martial, Rashford. Or Daniel James and Martial, something like that.
Bearing in mind that Brighton go into this game ahead of United, 2 points ahead of them.
I still don't think Brighton are great, and I think United are probably due a result in the Premier League. They were playing well before the Bournemouth game, and I think they'll be glad to be back in front of their home fans.
They had won 3 games all away from home prior to the Bournemouth game. The last home game they played was against Liverpool, where they set up with 5 at the back.
They played well in that game.
Well, they played incredibly defensively.
But they were
defensively solid.
But they had to.
I mean, are they going to go and break down Brighton?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Brighton are that.
They might get a couple, but I mean, if they're going forwards, are they going to be vulnerable at the back? Brighton are quite good going forwards. They're quite good at keeping the ball.
Going forward. I think United will have too much for Brighton.
2-0.
2-0, yeah.
Alright. Do you know what, man? United are just rubbish. I think people forget how rubbish they are with everything else that's going on.
Are you going for a...
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I hope you're right, because I don't want United to ever do well, but...
I think it's going to be 1-1. Might bring... Oh, no, it's too late now. Aaron Connolly's in the team. We're past the deadline.
Yeah.
He's in. Wolves Villa, Midlands Derby.
1-0 Wolves.
Having played midweek.
Yeah, 1-0 Wolves.
Man, Villa have goals in them.
They do have goals in them. Wolves are very good defensively. Jimenez, who I also have in my fantasy team, who's also good for about 10 goals a season.
I'm going to scrap you on this one. It's going to be 2-1 Villa. Jack Grealish probably back in the team. I think Villa are in a good vein of form. They were really good last week against Liverpool for
they were
for a few minutes.
They were. I think
they were solid defensively, but I think they're better on the front foot when they can actually keep the ball, and Wolves will let them keep the ball. I know Wolves are good at home, but the whole Europa League buzz just puts me off them.
Main event,
man. What do you think?
Do you know what? I'm going to go for a Liverpool win, which would be huge. I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool. No, that's too much. 2-1.
2-1? City are only going to get one?
Yeah, 2-1 Liverpool.
I'd said earlier today.
And I think that this will cement Liverpool as the champions elect.
After 12 games, you're going to pick someone as champions elect.
Because I think that this result will... Okay, you could think about it like that, but I think the psychological impact it would have on the City squad of losing this game
I think
significant.
That neither team will lose this game. It's too early in the season.
I think it's going to be a draw.
Man, it's just the way football is. Do you know what I mean? I think that it's going to be a scored draw. I think that one team will get an late equaliser because that's just the way it's going at the minute. No, I don't. Liverpool are going to win 3-2.
Yeah, I think Liverpool are going to
win.
It's
going to be goals, man. It's going to be goals.
I think that it's...
Liverpool are going to win 3-2.
I think it's written in the stars
what am
for
I
Liverpool
saying?
This year.
Do you know what?
I think it is.
Man, we've gone way over time.
We have.
I've had a lot of fun.
I've had a lot of fun too. I need to get back to my beautiful wife.
Yeah,
you need to get off to a
pub quiz. Man, I'm in no shape for a pub quiz. Anyway, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for coming down.
You as always.
Great to see you guys. What do we want you to do?
Like, share, subscribe, follow us on all platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Spotify. Most importantly, we're on YouTube, and we need to get our followers up on YouTube.
Come on, guys. Come on. Any sort of love, give it to us on YouTube.
Absolutely. And give us feedback. Get in the comment section on YouTube and Twitter and talk to us. Like, we want to interact as much as possible. So let's get some conversations going. We'll keep the polls coming. We'll have a poll that we mentioned earlier on in the show. And let's keep it going. We'll see you for Race Reviews and Joe's Corner, which will be back. It was away because I was away. But we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.